People keep saying this won't destroy influence of boxing, and yeah, maybe they're right, but here's what everyone's missing. Poison doesn't hit you all at once. It creeps in slow, weakening everything from the inside until one day the whole thing collapses. This moment right here is the poison in the water. You won't see the damage yet, not until fewer fighters start saying yes, not until athletic commissions begin grilling promoters with harder questions. That whole Mike Tyson memory gap thing.
No, I don't remember the fight that much. I kind of blanked out a little. Listen, know what I remember? Coming back from the first round. And then the next day I remember Jake is doing some kind of, I don't know, what was he doing at the ring?
Oh, yeah, little bow at the end, he bowed.
And that's the last thing I remember. You know, but the day after the fight, right after, the day after, I woke up and told my wife, why did I do that? You know, I don't know. I just don't know what the hell goes on.
What did you think of Jake's power, man, when you were in there?
I don't remember it, but my body was really sore. Yeah, my body, my chest, my stomach and stuff.
It's still haunting the scene like a ghost that won't rest. Those weren't just random words about forgetting days. Nah, those were warning flares shooting across a dark sky. And flares don't just fire themselves. Something or someone has to pull that trigger. Whether it came from physical trauma, a mental breakdown, or something way uglier hiding behind the cameras, it never got handled. It just got swept under the rug, buried under all the hype, the memes, the viral chaos that keeps the money rolling. And now, Anthony Joshua's punch just dug that grave right back open. Once those graves crack open, people start asking the kind of questions that make promoters sweat bullets. Like, who really put the body there in the first place? The industry's starting to smell the rot, and no one's ready for the answers. And trust me, someone out there is definitely losing sleep over that question right now. You could bet on it. Here's what most people don't get. This whole mess hit fighters behind the scenes way harder than any casual viewer could imagine.
But as we saw, he came to my ears and whispered, "Please be easy on me. He thought I'm Mike Tyson and I will follow his script 40 seconds after I broke the clown's jaw. We are boxers, not content creators." I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start, but as we saw,
the day after I woke up and told my wife, why did I do that? You know, I don't know. I just don't know what the hell goes on.
Professionals didn't watch this like it was just another piece of drama or entertainment. They saw flashing red alarms going off in real time. What they witnessed was the rule book getting torn apart mid-sentence, the entire agreement breaking down right before their eyes. And that's terrifying for anyone who makes their living stepping into that ring, because when the line between a legit sport and a flashy spectacle snaps like a cheap rope, everything changes. Once that line's gone, the athletic commissions start getting jumpy, insurance companies start twitching, and suddenly that easy flowing money starts drying up fast. Everyone starts asking the tough questions about safety, about accountability, about who's really in control here. And trust me, that kind of scrutiny never fades quietly. It doesn't just die down. It leaves wreckage in its path. Every time the spotlight shifts, someone ends up taking the fall. Watch how calm everyone looks on the surface. It's almost eerie. All those polished statements, the tight smiles, the picture-perfect professionalism. But underneath is chaos. You can feel the panic boiling, like someone desperately trying to hold a cracking dam together with duct tape. That's not confidence. That's full-blown reputation management mode. And here's the part that really should make you uneasy. The longer it takes for solid, straight answers to come out, the more rotten this whole thing starts to smell. If everything was truly clean and above board, clarity would have been instant. Protocols would have been airtight, paperwork perfect, timeline spotless. But nothing about this feels clean. It feels edited. You can sense the fingerprints of PR teams smoothing out every edge, softening every detail, rewriting every sentence to make sure it sounds safe and polished. And when stories get sanitized that quickly, when a narrative gets wrapped up this tight, it's almost always because something sharp is hiding just out of frame, something they don't want anyone seeing until they figured out how to spin it their way. Then there's that wild quote, "He's also nuts, right?" That's Joe Rogan jumping in, laying it plain as day while breaking down what Anthony Joshua's performance really revealed. And that's the crazy part. Joshua isn't the villain here, and he's not the hero either. He's the spark, the accelerant that made everything blow up faster than anyone expected. He didn't create this circus, but he exposed the weak spots holding it together. And exposure, that's deadly in this game. It takes away control, tears off the mask, and forces everyone to face what's really been hiding underneath all that shine. The real currency here was never money, it was control. Control over who steps into the ring, control over the storyline, control over how every headline and highlight gets shaped. Everything was built on that illusion of power, the idea that they could control the narrative from every angle. But then, in one split second, with one punch, all of that vanished, gone in a heartbeat. And let's be real, control like that never goes down without a fight, metaphorical or not. That battle is happening right now, behind closed doors, with lawyers whispering and managers panicking. And then you got people brushing it off, saying, relax, this is just boxing, fighters get hurt, move on to the next. But that's lazy talk, it's dodging the truth. Because this wasn't just another match, it was a production sold as something more, a promise of legitimacy that was never fully earned. They packaged authenticity, branded it, marketed it, but forgot to actually build it from the ground up. When the hype train starts racing faster than reality, someone ends up paying a price. That debt doesn't disappear, it lands on someone's doorstep, and it always comes due loud and ugly. And this time, that bill didn't come in money. It came in bone, metal, and surgery. The cost got paid in pain. And now that heavy tab is getting passed around the room, from promoter to manager to commission, with everyone praying someone else takes the blame. Every day it gets more desperate, more frantic, like a game of hot potato where the truth is the thing nobody wants to hold. And let's be clear, I don't think Jake Paul's some evil mastermind. Not at all. He's a product, a perfectly packaged brand built in a lab of marketing, money, and hype, pushed and promoted until something finally cracked. And when a product breaks, the manufacturer blames the user blames the environment, and the environment blames bad luck. Suddenly, chance becomes the easy excuse that washes everyone's hands clean.
Hoping after the Floyd fight, maybe we can have a rematch. He did well, but I want to try it again.
Is that something that you would be interested in terms of righting the wrong and knocking him out?
I would be interested. Yes, I would. I would be interested.
But come on, Chance doesn't sign fight contracts. Chance doesn't green light matchups or approve medicals. People do that. Real people making real decisions that come with real consequences. And those consequences don't vanish just because no one wants to claim them. Now that fallout is still spreading through the sport like cracks in frozen glass, slow, quiet, but deadly. You can see it in every shaky interview, every cautious press release, every silent pause between statements. And at the center of it all, Anthony Joshua. With one punch, he didn't just win a fight, he detonated Jake Paul's entire business model. That hit didn't just drop a body, it sent promoters, commissions, and influencers spiraling into full-blown panic mode, scrambling to spin the story before the story spins them.
I remember one thing, I had a very hard moment in that part of my life, but I assure you in that age, I could have put that clown in the first round, but I sold my soul. And
It's like this is the clearest fixed fight you're ever gonna see. Look at this guy holding his hands out of the watch. Watch that. He literally shows him his chin, and he goes down. It's so fake. Look at him, he's got nothing. It's like a guy who just learned boxing.
Who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. And then you're gonna fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division.
I didn't want to put him down early. You all know I was handcuffed. I don't want to say anything that I will be regretting in the future. But all I can say now is the first 20 seconds was enough for me to end Jake Paul.
Now everybody's freaking out saying this can't be real. There's no way this actually happened. But stay with me, because the way this whole thing spiraled is way darker than anyone's ready to admit. And I'm telling you right now, someone's already lying about what they knew and when they knew it. That lie is gonna matter way more than the knockout itself. Because this wasn't just a fight that went sideways. It was a full-on system breakdown happening live in front of millions of people. This wasn't bad luck, and it definitely wasn't some random fluke. It was a machine breaking down on camera, the shiny, money-making illusion of control snapping apart in real time. Everyone watching felt it, that gut punch moment when your stomach drops because you know something went horribly wrong. I keep replaying that scene in my head, and every single time it feels worse, because this wasn't just Anthony Joshua landing a punch in a legit match. This was reality, smashing head first into a carefully staged fantasy and doing it at full speed. You could see it written all over Jake Paul's body language before that hit even connected, that quick flash of panic, that tiny flicker in his eyes like, oh no, this guy isn't sticking to the script. And once that truth hit him, there was no way out. No influencer charm, no camera trick, no slick edit could save him from what was coming next. And that's when everything went quiet. The kind of silence that gives you chills, the silence that tells you everyone in the room just realized the fantasy's over and the real consequences have arrived. And here's the part no one wants to say out loud, but I will. Jake Paul didn't climb through the world of boxing the traditional way. He didn't grind it out in forgotten gyms or crawl up through amateur circuits. He built a shortcut out of fame, cameras, and hype, and now that shortcut just collapsed right under him. Jake Paul didn't climb the ranks, he curated them. Every move was calculated, every opponent hand-picked, every risk polished down until it felt safe enough to sell. He treated boxing like a startup testing beta software, always inside a controlled environment where nothing unpredictable could sneak in. And that system worked perfectly until Joshua showed up. Joshua walked in with zero interest in storylines, zero interest in protecting anyone's brand, and absolutely no interest in pretending this was content creation. He wasn't there to perform, he was there to fight, and he didn't break a single rule doing it. He just followed the oldest law in combat. Hit the guy until he stops moving. That's it. That's boxing stripped bare. No filters, no scripts, no edits. The panic that came right after that collective gasp echoing online and backstage, that's the sound of a carefully managed illusion shattering in real time. Suddenly, all the talk about bravery starts flooding the internet, people using the word like a shield to block real criticism. But bravery without wisdom, that's not heroism, that's straight up negligence wrapped in good PR. And negligence is blood in the water for lawyers and insurance companies. You can already picture them circling, documents in hand, eyes locked on whoever signed off on this fight, because someone knew the experience gap, someone knew the risks, and someone still gave it the green light, hoping the cameras would hide the danger. Now, watch how quick the narrative flips. It'll shift from who approved this to wow, what toughness, because toughness is safer to sell than accountability. Toughness doesn't demand answers, it just keeps the lights on. And somewhere right now, someone in an expensive suit is rehearsing the perfect line, a carefully worded sentence they pray never leaks to the press. But don't get distracted by the blood or the slow motion replays. That's not where the real damage is. The real destruction is psychological and structural, the kind that cracks the foundation while everyone's too busy watching the highlights. The hit didn't just damage Jake Paul, it damaged the entire system, because once the illusion cracks, there's no fixing it. Once people see behind the curtain, you can't make them unsee what's really there. You can't stuff that genie back in the bottle, no matter how much PR money you throw at it. Now every influencer boxer wakes up to a much colder world, one where the ceiling isn't imaginary anymore. It's not theoretical, it's solid concrete. And Anthony Joshua just slammed someone straight into that ceiling, hard and fast. The scary part, the promoters knew this was possible. They ran the numbers, they discussed the risks, they saw the danger signs. They just never expected it to look this final, this brutal, and this unforgiving in crystal clear HD. They thought they could control every angle, but reality doesn't take direction, it just hits. And it's that gap between what they planned and what really happened where the secrets start slipping out, the kind of cracks you can't patch with statements or silence. Now think about it. Why did everything shift so suddenly after that punch landed? Why did the energy drain out of the room like air from a punctured tire? Why did the joke stop mid-sentence? And why did Joe Rogan's voice drop into that low, haunted tone like a man flashing back to funerals he's tried to forget? Because real fighters don't watch fights like fans do. They're not looking for highlight reels. They're watching the small stuff, timing, distance, rhythm, instinct. And what they saw that night wasn't entertainment, it was fear. They saw a man realizing mid-fight that the safety net he thought was under him never existed. And that moment hit the whole room like a shockwave, because once everyone realized the safety net was imaginary, the illusion that kept influencer boxing floating just collapsed. And that's the kind of truth that doesn't fade, it stains. What really gets under my skin, deeper than the knockout, deeper than the hype, is how predictable this fallout feels. Not the punch itself, but everything that came after. Because boxing's history is littered with moments just like this. Moments where entertainment steamrolled right over safety and then everyone acted shocked like they didn't see it coming. Please, they always see it coming. And every single time, the pattern plays out exactly the same. First comes the laughter, then the curiosity, then the concern, and finally, regret. And right now, we're sliding down that slope fast, straight into regret territory. That's when everyone suddenly starts rewriting history, pretending they were innocent act from the start. But let's be real, I don't buy that innocent act for a second. These aren't clueless rookies stumbling into danger by mistake. These are seasoned professionals, people who live by calculating force, damage, and risk. Which means this wasn't a random gamble, it was an intentional one, a setup where someone was always meant to lose, someone was always meant to take the hit. And now the question no one wants to touch with a 10-foot pole: who was supposed to be that person? Who was meant to fall? Because it clearly wasn't supposed to look like this. Not this brutal, not this final, not this humiliating in 4K replay. That gap between what was planned and what really happened, it's deafening. It's screaming at anyone paying attention. And still people keep saying, this won't kill influencer boxing. And sure, maybe not right away. Maybe the brand limps along. Maybe it even survives the headlines. But poison doesn't kill instantly. It spreads quietly. And this was the first dose injected straight into the system, and it's already working its way through the bloodstream of the sport. Poison doesn't hit you all at once. It doesn't drop you in a single shot. It creeps in slow, weakening the system from the inside until the foundation starts to rot. That's what happened here. This moment poisoned the well. It contaminated the whole water supply of influencer boxing. You won't notice it right away, not until the real fighters start backing off, not until the commissions begin asking the questions promoters don't want to answer about safety, legitimacy, and responsibility. And the more I sit with this, the more Anthony Joshua's name just won't leave my head. Because he didn't just knock Jake Paul out cold, he ripped a mask off an entire lane of the sport. A lane that only survived because everyone agreed to play pretend, to maintain the illusion that this was real competition instead of performance. But Joshua, he never agreed to that. Not verbally, not mentally, not for even a heartbeat.
That's why this moment felt so brutal, because it wasn't just a knockout, it was a reality check. Joshua didn't see Jake as a brand, or a YouTube empire, or a storyline character built for clicks. He saw him as exactly what he was, a man standing in front of him in a fight. No filters, no shortcuts, no special treatment. And that refusal to play along is what shattered the illusion completely. Jake Paul fans keep shouting about experience gaps and unfair matchups like that's some kind of defense. But let's be real, Jake chose this path. He chased legitimacy like it was a shiny trophy he could hang on his shelf. But legitimacy doesn't come gift-wrapped. It bites back hard with real consequences. Because the second you ask to be treated like a real boxer, you open the door for real boxers to treat you exactly that way. And that's what Joshua did. He answered the call with the only language this sport truly understands: pure violence delivered through flawless technique. And in that one punch, every illusion Jake built just crumpled, fast, clean, and completely unstoppable. Now everyone's acting stunned, like this outcome wasn't written on the wall from day one. Come on, this road was always leading here, and anyone paying attention could see it. And let's talk about Eddie Hearn for a minute, because this part matters. Promoters like him don't just stumble into chaos. They plan it, they measure it, they run the math on risk versus reward. Eddie Hearn knows exactly what Anthony Joshua brings: raw power, danger, and zero room for pretense. He's not naive, not even close. So when people act like this explosion came out of nowhere, that's just willful blindness. Nobody in that room was clueless about what could happen. They just thought they could hold the illusion together a little longer. Maybe they'd squeeze in one more event, one more payday, one more viral headline to keep the machine alive. But that fantasy, it died the second Joshua's punch landed. It didn't fade out, it imploded in front of millions. What's really shaking people isn't that Jake Paul lost. Fighters lose all the time. That's part of the game. What's haunting everyone is how small he looked once the pressure stopped playing nice. When the fight stopped being a choreographed dance and turned into pure combat, the whole illusion fell apart. Because when Joshua stepped in, there was no choreography, no pacing agreement, no hidden wink that said, let's keep it light. It was just violence, real, deliberate violence, with intent behind every strike. And intent is exactly what influencer boxing has been dodging since the start. They've built their empire on controlled chaos, just enough danger to look authentic, but never enough to lose control. But the second real intent entered the ring, everything changed. That's when the mask shattered and the sports regulators started sweating. Because you can bet the athletic commissions were watching this unfold live, and they hate being made to look reckless. This didn't embarrass them with memes or jokes. It embarrassed them in the one way that actually matters, legally.
They signed off on something that now looks like a liability nightmare, and that's the kind of mistake that doesn't go away quietly. Hindsight, that's where lawsuits grow and multiply like weeds. And don't be surprised when new names start popping up in reports and investigations, because blame doesn't just disappear, it's gotta land somewhere. Someone's getting pinned for this, and it's only a matter of time before the paper trail starts talking. And I can't get Joe Rogan's reaction out of my head, because it mattered. That wasn't some fake camera-friendly oh no moment, that was recognition. The look of a man who's seen too many fighters slur their words years later, too many legends fade into confusion, too many what-if stories turn into too-late tragedies. Rogan wasn't just reacting, he was warning us. When he switches from hype man to siren, you better pay attention, because he's not protecting Jake Paul's ego, he's trying to protect the sport from repeating its ugliest history. And here's where it gets chilling, the silence that followed. Why did certain loud voices suddenly vanish? Why did people who couldn't stop talking before the fight suddenly shift into vague, empty praise after it? That's not calm, that's coordination. That's the sound of people syncing their stories, trying to get the narrative straight before someone else blurts out the wrong version of the truth. Silence after chaos isn't peace, it's plotting. It's the quiet hum of PR teams working overtime, lawyers polishing statements, and executives praying their emails don't leak. That's where the real lies are born, in that uncomfortable pause before the damage control machine kicks in. And right in the center of it all stands Anthony Joshua. Whether he asked for it or not, he's now the line in the sand, the before and after moment that splits this whole influencer boxing era into two. After that punch, nothing goes back to normal. The game's changed, the masks are off, and the world's finally seeing what's been hiding behind the lights. From this moment on, every influencer fight will be haunted by that punch. Every promoter's gonna get hit with the same question: why is this fight safe when that one wasn't? And that comparison is straight up poison for a business built on ambiguity, because ambiguity is what sells the fantasy. It's how they blur the line between real combat and entertainment just enough to keep the cash flowing. Now people are acting like Anthony Joshua's the villain, like he did something wrong by actually fighting. Some are saying he should have gone easy, pulled his punches, played along with the script, and honestly, that kind of thinking is insane. It's not just wrong, it's dangerous. That mindset is exactly how fighters end up getting seriously hurt, when people start believing mercy has a place inside competitive violence. Joshua didn't owe Jake Paul a safety net or a softened hit, he owed him honesty. And in boxing, honesty hurts. It leaves bruises, breaks bones, and makes you face the truth you can't filter. That's what real fighting is. It's not about fame, it's about truth in motion. Now fans are mad at reality for doing what it always does, being real. And the shockwave from that truth is already spreading behind the scenes. Locker rooms are different now. Gyms feel tenser. Fighters talk. They remember who stepped up, who folded, who treated this sport like a hustle, and who treated it like a craft. Respect starts shifting quietly, like a slow leak, until it bursts all at once. Jake Paul's aura, that untouchable mystique he built through cameras and branding, took a hit no social media clip can fix. Because fear, once it's in your system, can't be edited out. You can't crop it, can't spin it, can't meme it away. And I can't shake this eerie feeling. Mike Tyson's name hanging over all of this makes it even heavier, more ominous. Because when a legend who's publicly battled memory loss starts joking about selling souls or missing days, it stops being funny real fast. It turns into a warning, a living reminder of how dangerous this game really is. Joshua might not have meant to reopen that discomfort, but he did. And that uneasy spark is radioactive. Promoters can't touch it without burning themselves, and now it's spreading through the entire sport like fallout nobody can contain. Promoters and sponsors want clean, marketable stories, not messy moral questions. So watch carefully over the next few weeks, because you'll see the language shift in real time. Historic will quietly turn into unfortunate, and bold experiment will get written as a learning experience. That's the playbook. That's how institutions back away from the edge without ever admitting they were standing too close to the cliff. Those changes aren't spontaneous, they're scripted. PR teams have already written the next chapter, trust that. Jake Paul's comeback, oh, it's inevitable. But coming back the same, that's impossible. Because once your brain learns how it feels to be shut off like a light switch, something inside changes forever. Confidence doesn't vanish, but it turns fragile. It starts cracking under pressure, and pressure is what boxing is when you strip away the lights, the hashtags, and the sponsorship deals. If Jake steps back into that ring chasing legitimacy, the ghost of that night will follow him everywhere. Every punch he throws, every round he fights, that memory's gonna be right there with him. Anthony Joshua, though, he walks away cleaner than anyone expected because he didn't cheat, didn't bend rules, didn't exploit a thing. He simply took away the safety rail, the invisible line everyone pretended was there. And when he did, it revealed everything. It showed what was real and what was just painted to look strong. And that's the truth influencer boxing didn't want exposed. The whole system only works when the safety rails stay hidden. The moment they're gone, the whole structure wobbles. Joshua didn't destroy the sport, he revealed how fragile it already was. And now there's a darker wave forming behind the scenes, the legal one. Nobody wants to touch it yet, but it's coming. The lawsuits, the liability questions, the investigations, they're all lining up quietly because legality might move slower than morality, but it always catches up eventually. And when it does, every promoter, every executive, every visionary who signed off on this will have to answer for the night the illusion broke in full HD. Once people start asking whether safety was ignored for the sake of spectacle, for views, ratings, and clicks, that's when the real panic sets in. Because paperwork don't care about vibes, PR, storylines. And let's be honest, in this whole mess, Vibes was doing way too much heavy lifting. And don't think the fans are clueless, far from it. They felt that shift too, that eerie moment right after the punch when the cheers suddenly died down and silence took over. That wasn't confusion, that was recognition. The same kind fighters feel when they realize something just went horribly, irreversibly wrong. And here's the twist. Once fans get a taste of raw, unfiltered authenticity like that, it's impossible to sell them the polished, scripted drama afterwards. That's a nightmare for a business built on selling make-believe as competition. But here's what keeps me up. I can't stop wondering who tried to stop this matchup and got ignored. Because in every disaster, there's always someone who raised a hand early, said this isn't smart, and got overruled by the people chasing the biggest payday. Those warnings always get buried at first until the fallout hits. And when it does, those same people start talking. Not necessarily out of revenge, but out of self-preservation. They start leaking what really happened, and when that truth starts coming out, the timelines crack fast, and those cracks spread even faster when money and reputation are on the line. Anthony Joshua didn't just win a fight that night, he forced a reckoning. He kicked open a conversation nobody in power wanted to have yet. The kind of conversation that makes executives sweat, lawyers panic, and fans start seeing the whole machine for what it really is. And conversations like that, they never end cleanly. They tear things apart before anything even gets rebuilt. Moments like this don't just fade, they fracture everything. They break alliances, expose motives, and force people to pick sides. And once people pick sides, you get enemies. And enemies leak things when the pressure starts building. The truth always slips through the cracks one way or another. And here's what I really think. The explosion hadn't even happened yet. This wasn't the collapse, this was the tremor. The early warning quake before everything either falls apart or gets rebuilt from the ground up. Whether it becomes a full meltdown or a hard reset depends on one thing: honesty. Because without honesty, suspicion creeps in like mold and it eats credibility alive, slow, silent, and unstoppable. Once people stop believing what they're being told, everything starts rotting from the inside. The hype, the promises, the flashy headlines, all of it starts sounding hollow. And that's when the empire starts shaking, because truth don't care about spin, it just keeps pushing until it breaks through. So yeah, I'm watching this closely, like a hawk, because moments like this don't just disappear into the noise. They multiply, they mutate, they grow into something way bigger than anyone expects. Every update, every quote, every sudden silence is all a move on a chessboard most fans haven't even noticed yet. And trust me, the next move is not gonna be subtle. Because when control slips, people scramble to grab it back, and that desperate grab always leaves fingerprints. This story is far from over. We're just at the start of the fallout. So stick around, because the next few weeks might rewrite everything Influencer Boxing thought it was. If you've been following this deep dive, hit that like, subscribe, and share button, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think is coming next, because whatever happens, the gloves are off.